Hello, everybody, and welcome to Techgeeks United. This is the second episode for our Week in Review series, where every week I bring out what's going on with the technology sector of the industry. Before I get into the topic, I just want to say thank you for checking out this channel. I do ask if you have any feedbacks. Please click on the Techgeeks United Discord link down in the description and just put a feedback to the live stream feedback channel. I'm also letting you guys know that I did get the trademark back from my website. It's been a couple-year battle because my old card went expired and I forgot to change the yeah. But yeah, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and go into our week in review. So on this week's topic, we're going to be talking about some companies, some that's been in our last topic and some who have not been in our topic yet. The first one we're going to be talking about is Microsoft. Microsoft has a couple of news that they have announced. Also, the parent company of Google, which is Alphabet. We'll also be talking about Activision, Yahoo, Twitter, Apple, Samsung, Intel, SpaceX, Amazon, and Facebook. So the first thing on the agenda is Yahoo. Now, as you probably have been watching over the past couple of months, is the tech industry is kind of like in a market correction right now. So some people are laying off employees, others are doing like a balanced restructure, and it's been kind of hurting a couple of I shouldn't say a couple, but a lot of employees of the Silicon Valley location. Yahoo has announced that they plan to lay off more than 20% of its total 8,600 workforce as part of a major restructuring. That's going to be affecting roughly 1,000 employees by the end of the week. The reason that they cited for this was a downturn in demand and high inflation and rising interest rates. So if you follow the new, like the TV media and all that stuff, you kind of notice that the interest rate is at an all-time high right now since I don't even know how long, but I should know the answer because I work at a refinance or a lending company, unfortunately. But yeah, they said the move would enable the company to narrow its focus and invest on its flagship business called DPS, or Demand Side Platform. The company's legacy ad tech division, Yahoo for Business, and a couple other things will be overhauled and transformed into the new division called Yahoo Advertising. So pretty much what they're doing is everything is like all like put together. But what the purpose of the restructuring is, they're going to give it its own division, so it would help it finance a little better. The Apollo Global Management, a private equity firm, acquired Yahoo back in 2021 for $5 billion. At the time, Yahoo was owned by Verizon Wireless, which bought the company back in 2017. So you can kind of see that's like a short-lived ownership. But yeah, so we'll see how the restructure works, and who knows, it might actually work out. If not, considering what's going on between Google and Bing, Yahoo may actually have a lot of catching up to do. So we'll see how this plays out in the next couple of months. The next thing is anybody's favorite video platform, Zoom. Zoom has announced it is laying off its workforce. The move will affect about 15% of its employees, which has seen user growth slow and profits fall recently. So they have not been getting as much people using their platform. As you probably could tell, like probably almost all of you have used Zoom at one point since the pandemic. Before that, one of the biggest platforms I remember was Skype. I don't know if anybody even uses Skype anymore, but yeah. In the memo that's to its employees, Zoom CEO Eric Young has, or not Young, Yuan, said the layoff would impact every part of its organization. The firm revenue more than tripled in 2020 and grew to about 55% in 2021. So with this growth, they were able to hire more employees, upgrade, as you all probably remember the horrible experience Zoom had when they first became popular. It was always slow, it was always crashing. So part of that gain allowed them to upgrade their technology, become the top tech video company that they were and known as today. But they said last year's gain has slowed to a single digit, and its profit has dropped sharply. I cannot talk today. I've had a really crazy day today. Within 24 hours, Zoom grew 3 times the size to manage this demand while enabling continued innovation. So pretty much, Zoom was able to grow when everybody was still using it as their main platform source, licensings and all that stuff. And recently, that growth kind of stabled off, and then the revenue kind of went down, which never a good thing, but a restructure will usually help. Zoom is far from the only pandemic platform to experience a sharp come down. One of probably the most of you would probably know as one of those little exercise bikes that I usually see on the TV with a little TV screen on there. You sit there and you watch them, and they're like, "Hey, you pedal faster!" Oh, sorry, pedal faster. Now you can go slow. Peloton has gone through several rounds of layoffs, so I think it's gonna be a while before we don't see any more layoff news. eBay, for example, said in a regulatory filing that it would cut about 500 jobs globally, or about 4% of its employee base. Mr. Young also said that he would reduce his salary in the coming fiscal year by 98% and forego his bonus. Now, I don't know a lot of CEOs that would offer their salaries up like that, but to see that, I have no problem supporting that company. I would definitely use their products again. As a matter of fact, I actually still use it quite a bit at work. They also stated other members of the executive leader board will see their base salaries fall by about 20%, and some will also lose their bonuses. So this is part of their restructure plan where, hey, yeah, they're taking a cut right now, but it's going to be worth it in the end when they're able to grow again. Zoom said it's expected the restructuring to cost about $50 million to $68 million, with the effective staff to receive about 16 weeks of salary and healthcare coverage, as well as support. So unlike some of the other companies that's been saying, hey, we're done with you, good luck finding another job, Zoom's saying, hey, we know you're not going to have your job right now, but we're going to continue to support you for the next 16 weeks while you go out there and find another job. So I give kudos. I give kudos to the CEO. There's a lot of thought that goes into that. Another thing, Apple had actually avoided laying off people by not overhiring employees like some of the other companies did. So that's your biggest problem, is some of the other companies, while the short-term gain is worth it, long-term, you also have to think long-term. What's going to happen later on down the road if the market turns? And a lot of the companies didn't take that into consideration. So short-term wise, they were able to provide all the support. They were able to help everybody, and a lot of people got jobs, thankfully. But long-term wise, after a couple of years, the people who went in and got jobs are now losing their jobs. At this case, though, it's not the same case with Apple. They were able to keep a steady ratio over year with the hiring process. Its employee count was 137,000 in 2019, 147,000 in 2020, 154,000 in 2021, and 164,000 in 2022. It not out of the woods just yet, though, because Apple had been in the face of an antitrust action in the United States and Europe. In its most recent earnings report, the company did state that the sales grew 8% year over year, and that the biggest hit a September quarter revenue was for the iPhone. And honestly, I still have an iPad, but I don't have an iPhone. So then again, I have the second generation like iPad mini, so it's been a while since I upgraded. I'm mostly into Samsung, as they weren't ready to retire. But yeah, we'll see how Apple's growth goes. Hopefully the antitrust does not affect them in a way, because the last thing I want to see from anybody is hearing, hey, I'm losing my job. Especially with this next article, where the tech layoffs are literally affecting the H-1B visa workers. Some of the visa workers had actually learned when they were out of the country on vacation that they were not able to access the border. So as soon as they were coming to the border, they have been told, we're sorry, but your visa's been rejected. You need to return to your home country. We cannot allow you back in the country. When a visa holder loses a job, typically they have 60 days to find a new one or go home. So the ones who stay behind are still in the US. They have 60 days, so they're still able to find a new job to keep their visa. But the problem is, as soon as they cross that border, they won't be able to come back. The layoff has caused a ripple effect across the tech industry, and with about more than 257,000 jobs cut since last year. The number of tech jobs in the U.S. has declined by 32,000 last month, according to CompTIA. There were 269,000 tech jobs posting in January, down from a record high of 394,000 posting last March. This is all from CompTIA. They're the ones that, I believe they actually do licensing too, but they keep track of the tech force industry to see where the employee statuses are. Yeah, so I would not, if I was on a visa, being out in another country that you can't come back to a house you owned in the U.S. or another country that you lived in for so many years, that'd be kind of tough. There was somebody who actually is a resident of Australia, and they worked in Silicon Valley, and at the time they were on vacation. And in the middle of their vacation, they were told that their employment was being terminated due to a layoff. And a lot of the tech company, when they terminate people's job status, they have to let the government know, hey, we're terminating this person's employment with us. And the problem with that is when the termination kicks in, the visa is immediately, you can't use it anymore. So this guy had a house in California, and he owned it. He was still making payments on his house. He was still making payments on the car, and he wasn't able to come into the U.S. basically. And so pretty much right now what's going on is his friends, family, I don't think he has family, but I know his friends and neighbors have been taking care of his stuff for him. So he's got a neighbor that's taking care of his car, making sure the battery don't die, and then he's got another neighbor that's making sure all the plants are watered, lawn's taken care of. And so pretty much they're taking care of the stuff for him while he is back in Australia. and trying to figure out what his next move is. Hopefully, he'll be able to come back to the U.S. I mean, he worked hard. He got a visa. He did everything, but in the end, he kind of got the short end of the stick. So that's a little rough. Next up, we have Microsoft. Microsoft had the deal to buy Activision, which was actually opposed by the UK regulators. The $69 billion deal would see Xbox maker Microsoft acquire hit titles such as Call of Duty and Candy Crush. The biggest issue that the UK market authority said it had recently concluded that the tech giant bid to buy one of the world's largest game publisher could be harmful to the wider gaming sector. And pretty much what they were saying is it could give them a leading advantage over its competitors such as Sony. And in the process, Microsoft said it would find solutions to address the CMA's concern. So Microsoft is not just buying Activision, but they're going to try to work out the details so that other platforms can still use the games, such as Call of Duty, Candy Crush, and all that stuff. One of the CMA's suggestions is that perhaps Activision Blizzard could sell off one of its biggest assets, the game's title Call of Duty, which is well known, as I said before, on the Sony, which is their PlayStation lineup. Microsoft insisted it would not make existing games exclusive to its own console, the Xbox. So they're buying. They have plans to buy it, but they're not going to favor exclusivity, which is almost unheard of for a company that wants to own things. But in a sense, this kind of makes sense, because if you want to be able to make a good income, you're going to want to be on as much platform as you can be. So if you own, like if Microsoft actually owned Activision Blizzard, putting it only on the Xbox would really limit their market outreach. So keeping it open, allowing the games to be sold on PlayStation, the Nintendo, and anything else out there is actually a pretty smart play, and would actually help them with their incomes. So we'll see how this plays. Microsoft could also, in recent news, show off its AI version, Word and Outlook this March. As you probably know, Microsoft recently launched a re-image Bing that can generate conversational responses to search queries, thanks to its Prometheus model, which was built on the help of OpenAI. I think ChatGPT. And so the plan is they're going to take this ChatGPT model and not just put it in Bing, but also put it in Word, like just about anything Office related in Microsoft. And I find it's like pretty cool, because there was actually a side-by-side preview with Microsoft Bing search using ChatGPT versus the Google version, which I will talk about later. But the ChatGPT was actually able to find things that people were actually looking for. The company is also introducing a new edge with the built-in AI copilot that's also powered by Prometheus. Microsoft also wants its AI technology to be able to generate graphs and graphics for the use in PowerPoint or Excel, and generate text using simple prompts within its Office apps. So you can literally, from what I've been looking at lately, you can literally tell, hey, base this cells 1A through 1E off of, let's say, cell 6, 1 or 6A through E plus blah blah blah. And what it would do, it would automatically go through there. It'll find the I remember what it was called, integers. So pretty much like when you go like click on that tab in Microsoft, and he's like, oh hey, I want the sum of this and first this. I want these set of cells to equal all together in this cell. I want that cell to tell me what the percentage of all this is together. And so it would actually make it a little easier, which is actually kind of cool. I can't wait for that to come out, actually. I mean, obviously there's gonna be some bugs to work out of it, but like anything, there's always gonna be things that needs to be worked. The company is likely intended to move fast to get as many people as possible to start using this product before Google can launch its rival. Oh, what was it called? I don't remember the name of it. It would start with a B. I gotta look this up now. I can talk about it later. The biggest move is by far the biggest threat Google has seen to its dominance in the world search. Well, web search. Google had, as you probably heard last week, had raised the red flag saying, hey, we need to get something done. Microsoft's about to dominate us. The race starts today, according to Microsoft's Satya Nadella. The new Bing search engine will be live right away with a limited number of searches and for each person. So when you go to you can use it to search a couple things, but you're not going to find everything right away, which is not too bad. Microsoft has rolled out its tab in Oh, that's another series. Like I said, it's been a really fun day today. But yeah, so the purpose of it is, so in a way it's going to be a soft launch of the Prometheus system, and my guess is this is to make sure that it rolls out as smoothly as possible. That there's no issues. When there are issues, they can address it right away instead of having it affect the whole system. It's actually a pretty smart idea. So we'll see. Next up, Microsoft has rolled out its tabs in Notepad to the Windows 11 Insider beta channel after testing it last month with users in the dev channel. The Notepad feature lets users manage and organize multiple files with tabs in one Notepad window, or break out a new window by dragging the tab out of the current window. The new beta build contains numerous fixes to the Windows 11 taskbars and system tray, as well as for the Task Manager utility. This is only available on the Windows 11 Insider Preview build 25295. This build brings, which was actually highly, I didn't even realize until last week, was actually a highly requested feature. It could bring a copy button for quickly copying two-factor authentication codes in notification tones from apps installed on the PC or the phone's linked to the PC. So, like, let's say, hey, I need a two-factor I can never say that word right. Authentication code. Close enough. But it goes to my phone because I don't have the app for it or whatever it needs on the laptop. So what's going to happen, it's going to go to my phone, and then I can click on the phone and send it via like a notepad feature to the PC. Then I can go to my PC, click on it, drag it over, and paste it. So that way, if you get like a code that's like about this long instead of like that long, because I know everybody loves those 6-digit codes a lot better than those 20-digit codes that some of the apps give. It would allow you to literally just type it in quickly without any errors. They said while this policy is available for Insider Preview build in the dev channel, there aren't any features currently in the dev channel behind the policy. However, we expect to make this policy available in the beta channel shortly, where there are features behind the policy. Microsoft notes. They say policy quite a bit. But I wouldn't anticipate this to be rolled out into Windows 11 or 10 anytime soon. Matter of fact, I don't think it'll really be rolled out into Windows 10. I think moreover, it'll be into Windows 11. There is a recent update for Windows 11. I know I just read the other day that they're also working on getting Internet Explorer deleted from all the Windows 10 and 11 software or system. So pretty much the only system you'll be able to work off of is Edge, Chrome, Firefox, or Opera, or whatever other browser you use. So there'll be more news for next week, that's for sure. Also, next up, Facebook parent company Meta. I used to call them Beta back then as a joke. But Facebook parent company Meta reportedly plans to further reduce its headcount in the coming weeks. In November, the company has laid off 11,000 employees in about 13% of its global workforce. The former first outlined plan to reduce its headcount by 10,000 employees, only to later announce that it was cutting closer to 18,000 jobs. So that was a lot more than what Dr. Bird was anticipating. Unfortunately, like I said before, everybody's overhired, and unfortunately have to cut ties with some people in order to keep themselves afloat. Meta has reportedly uncovered a source of the leak for their virtual reality headset. As you probably know, Quest 3. It was published late last year by YouTuber Brad Lynch. The publication said that the individual was a third-party contractor who Bosworth confirmed was paid money for sharing materials with Lynch. And honestly, I can kind of see why they want to keep it like under wraps until it's closer to the launch window. But I feel like when they have leaks like this, like they let this known ahead of time, not only do you get good feedbacks or suggestions, but it also helps with competition. So literally, it shows your competitors what you're capable of doing. And then when they know what you're capable of doing, they can improve in their product, which in the end, you can continue to improve in your product on top of theirs. So it's kind of a win-win. But like I said, I can see why Microsoft wants to keep it under wrap. Also, in a recent contrast, the company Amazon has been deemed as a threat to Facebook as ad targeting suffers. Amazon Business, which has catapulted to third among digital ad companies, grew 19% in the fourth quarter, while Facebook parent Meta reported its third straight revenue drop. So Meta has been losing its income to other platforms such as Google, Amazon, and there was a third one somewhere else. I don't remember what it was. But part of the reason for this is that many of the people started doing their shopping on Amazon, which made it easier for advertisers to advertise their products on that platform instead of Facebook. But let's be honest, when you're already selling on Amazon, right? And when you open up the Amazon app, you always see like, oh, product suggestions or like videos and stuff, or hey, these are the things that you think you might like, or these are the things that you recently viewed. Some of them are actually paid advertisement. The company ad division is a $38 billion annual business, and last week reported 19% year-over-year growth in the fourth quarter to $11.6 billion. So Amazon's doing pretty good. They're not stopping anytime soon, even though they are having problems further down the road with other parts of their business. Facebook parent company Meta, while reported 4% annual decline in revenue for the quarter to $32.2 billion, shrinking for a third consecutive period. Google has been less impacted by Apple's iOS update, which is actually the main reason why Facebook has been struggling. So Apple had actually created a new, I think it's more like a privacy ruling, and Facebook wasn't able to meet that demand quite yet, while other competitors have already met or exceeded that. And in the end, some of the platforms are suffering from that rulemaking. Because of that, Alphabet had also posted a revenue growth of 1% to $76 billion. So, yeah. Honestly, I think some of the ads on Facebook are cool, but if you're like me, most of them were probably pointless. Had nothing to do with what you were even interested in, or probably even made you click the hide ad. Irrelevant. I do that a lot on the Facebook app. I'm pretty sure the little system kind of hates me for that. Next up we have on the agenda is Google. This is what I was talking about right here. Google's Bard AI bot. That's Google's competitor for the Microsoft Prometheus software. They said the Bard AI bot's mistake had actually wiped off $100 billion of shares, which is part of the reason why Google has been downsizing last month. Google is searching for ways to reassure people that it's still out in the front of the race for the best artificial intelligence technology. So, as you probably know, Google has been the #1 search engine for a while, and Bing was #2. Although I think Bing used to be called Microsoft Search when I was in school. Yeah, they both been around for a while. Microsoft Search was never that great to begin with. I mean, it's there if you need to use it, but back then Microsoft used to provide like a lot of incentive just for you to search on their search engine. But yeah, the recent presentation of Bard, however, was not able to create much accurate answers, unlike their competition at Microsoft Prometheus or ChatGPT. Google has been under pressure since late last year when the Microsoft-backed OpenAI unveiled a new ChatGPT software that it would implement with all this search engine and apps. Last month, Google parent company Alphabet cut about 12,000 jobs, about 6% of its worldwide workforce, amid the layoff at a number of leading tech giants. So they didn't just invest in a chat AI that wiped away share, but they invested in a chat AI that kind of hurt them a little financially. Honestly, I would, like I said before, I would love to see these competitions, and competition's gonna be pretty good. It's gonna be a long fight, but yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Next up, Ford. As if when they announced that they were having those mobile mechanics around wasn't enough, Ford has reported that they're working on a $3.5 billion battery plant that'll be staged in Michigan. The planning of the $3.5 billion battery plant will be located in Marshall. They were offered by Michigan a $1 billion tax incentive to attract the automaker. The factory is expected to bring in 2,500 jobs to the area by the time it opens up. The project is part of Ford's effort to comply with the strict rules set by the Biden administration for the Inflation Reduction Act, which lets EVs assembled in North America qualify for a $7,500 tax credit. Rumors about the new facility has been swirling for months, with a report from the Detroit News indicating that Ford initially wanted to bring the battery factory to Virginia. But that plan was struck down because the Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin rejected its construction in the site, citing its ties over China. Because Ford was actually planning on working with China in making the, I think it's called the lithium ion polymer batteries. I didn't actually look into that all the way, but it was a type of lithium ion battery that could be used for the electric vehicles. Ford later set its site on Michigan, which recently began advertising a 1,900-acre megasite in the southwest portion of the state. Ford had the goal of building over 2 million vehicles per year by late 2026. So the goal is that they want to become a direct competitor with Tesla. Although Tesla had a pretty good lead, Ford has shown some promising in this technology. I remember the last time I went to Ford, they had this new car. It was the 2022 model Escape and Explorer I was checking out. And it had what they call, which is pretty essentially almost like the Tesla Autopilot. Oh gosh. It was essentially like the Tesla Autopilot, but its purpose was it wasn't the full autopilot, but it had automatic braking, lane control. It did some function of driving by itself, but you had to keep your hand on the wheel at all times, or else it'll scream beep 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 beep. Get your hand back on the wheel. Kind of wish I got that car, but I'm cool with the car I got right now. Next up, Philips Hue. That's right, everybody's favorite light manufacturer of automated lights from red, green, yellow, blue, white. Philips Hue has announced to stop making some of its coolest smart bulbs. As you probably saw, those big bulbs that's got like the clear bulb and then like the light in the middle of it. The light guide line, which launched last year, now only includes one bulb after the company has ceased operation of the triangle and the globe shaped version due to some quality issues. So what's going on is they manufacture these bulbs, and they like the consumer would buy it, and either the bulb was broken, it had cracks, or it had some other kind of like cosmetical defect, or the bulb just straight up did not work. So instead of trying to fix it, Philips decided, well, we're just going to stick with the one bulb that hasn't had an issue. We're just going to get rid of these other two bulbs. While the Ellipse Light Guide is still being manufactured, Frank says the $90 bulb is currently out of stock with a tentative restock date of next month in March. If you already purchased a triangle or globe-shaped bulb, they are offering you a full refund, or they're going to exchange it with the ellipse, or the ellipse shaped bulb. So kind of actually wish I got one. Look, that would have been kind of cool. So the purpose of the bulb was, if you had a lamp, you could take the lampshade off, take the stand off, like the little lampshade stand off, and you could put the bulb in there, and it would like it's this big bulb right on a lampshade, and it would light up the area. Almost as good as this light back here. But yeah, it was more like a aesthetics kind of look to it, and some of the people would buy them to modernize the lamps in their house. And as I said before, some of the light that they were making had some manufacturing issues. So instead of trying to fix it, they decided it was probably best to just get rid of the bulb altogether. Next up, we have news about Twitter. Twitter, as everybody probably saw on the day when they launched the 4,000 character count, had broke for several hours after deploying a 4,000 character limit earlier in the day of its launch. The users found they were unable to publish tweets. Instead, they received a message saying you are over the daily limit for sending tweets, or you just simply got an error saying, hey, there's something going on here. We can't send you a tweet right now. Some of the people had actually found a way to get around that was to publish it on the web app and then schedule it. And so pretty much they'll schedule it a little later, and then what would happen is the automated system would send it out, so that way they can still post tweets. So yeah, sometimes when something breaks, you're always gonna find like a little workaround that might work, but like in this instance, but then there's time for it. Some of you probably remember when Twitter was younger, they would always have time for literally the platform just did not work at all, no matter what you did. I still remember those days, actually. I think there was a week where Twitter went down 3 times before they actually fixed it. And literally, you couldn't access the website. And if you could access the website, you couldn't post a tweet, or you couldn't even read the news feed. Some of the users who were unable to see their messages, and others noticed that only verified accounts showed up in their feed. Oh, this is pretty much similar to what happened in their younger days. Twitter's new data access rule was also rolled out, making social media research harder. So pretty much some of these companies would send a bot and it would do some research on what you were looking into on Twitter, what you were tweeting, what kind of topics you were talking about, where you were at. And Twitter kind of announced that it would start charging those people about $100 a month to use this pipeline. That's starting February 13th, which is a couple days ago. With one exception, is the user that tweets less than 1,500 times a month, an average of twice an hour or less. So, yeah. The Twitter did not say how much tweet users can download or post at the $100 a month model. Those who need additional access, however, will have to pay a little more money through the company, or though the company did not disclose the pricing. That'll probably go like 150, 200, 300, and so on, depending on what you do. The move will also make it more expensive to run many automated accounts known as bots. And I know the least favorite thing for anybody on Twitter or any social media is bots accounts. Next up is Opera. Opera has also announced that they are utilizing ChatGPT. They said they're building ChatGPT into a sidebar. The company is testing the new AI shortened feature that provide bulleted summaries of the article or website you're reading. Opera also announcement comes just days after Microsoft revealed the AI-powered Bing and Edge. The shortened feature isn't available to anybody just yet, according to Jan Standel, the Vice President of Marketing and Communication at Opera, said that it's going to launch in browsers very soon. So they're still working on it. It's not ready. They're still working on it. But when it's ready to launch, you will be able to use ChatGPT in Opera browser. So yeah, keep a lookout for some updates. Opera is also working on other AI features that augment the browsing experience, and plans on adding the popular AI generated content service to the sidebar, although it is not yet clear what the plans are for. So that is yet to be determined. Also on the agenda, Apple. Apple has filed a new patent on its smartwatch, which was the third one since 2019. And the patent was to put a camera on the smartwatch. Now, keep in mind, Apple is not the first company to do that. Samsung actually had done that with their first smartwatch. I actually own one of those. And even though it was cool, the feature was pretty useless. Like, really, I can just pull up my phone, take a quick picture now, because all you do is just tap the screen twice and swipe. But I mean, I guess they could have fixed that with the smartwatches, but like I said, it was still pretty irrelevant. The patent grant was for a watch that had a strap release mechanism that could potentially be used with the built-in camera. So that is actually exactly what Samsung did. Is they're literally like right here. So they had the square watch, and it had the camera right here. So all you had to do is like open the app and then click the button to take a picture, and then you could send it to your phone. But the problem was because it was such a small sensor. I mean, it's probably gonna be, if they do it, it's probably gonna be equivalent to the sensor on the front of the phone, because there's not a lot of space to move things around in a watch. So I'd imagine it'll probably be, if they do it, it'll probably be a 12 megapixel sensor at best. Also, Uber's driver app is getting an Apple CarPlay support. So all you Uber drivers, rejoice. It will enable drivers with iPhone to accept trips requests and navigate via the car's infotainment system. So literally, instead of picking up your phone, looking at it, and going, okay, accept, and then telling it to go to like Apple or Google Maps so that you can actually navigate, you can literally just tap on the radio and say, yeah, I'll accept that one. Let's go ahead and navigate. The feature is now rolling out to Google drivers, or Uber drivers, and will be available to all drivers in the US by the end of the month. The CarPlay has become exponentially more accessible in the last few years. Automakers are often favoring Apple's technology and is adding it in as a standard feature in many cars built today. And one of the other things that car manufacturers are also adding to their cars is Android Auto. So Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are like the two main big players. So you either had one or the other, you had both. And there's actually a manufacturer that's replacing their main infotainment software with the Android Auto, and it would include the wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto features as well. So you can just put your phone down, it'll connect right to your radio. Ooh, my throat's getting a little dry from talking. Sorry about that. In contrast to that announcement, Uber's competitor Lyft last Thursday had announced the forecast current quarter revenue below the Wall Street estimate, blaming extremely cold weather in some of its major markets and lower prices, especially during peak hours, sending its share down nearly 25% in extended trading. Don't get me wrong. Uber and Lyft is nice to have, but I don't think the weather was part of it. From my personal experience, when I drove for Uber and Lyft, was their cheap pay scale. They didn't pay the drivers enough. So practically they're paying you like the standard hourly wage, but they weren't paying you enough to be able to keep on top of the maintenance of your car. Yeah, some of you might get lucky and you're making enough for more than just your car, but then there's other people out there who literally were just like, as soon as they got the check, they went into their car, gas tank, maintenance, insurance, all that stuff. Lyft forecasts first quarter revenue about $975 million, fell below the analyst estimate of $1.09 billion. So that's, while not big, but at the same time a big shortfall. The active rider rose 8.7%, which increased to 20.36 million for the fourth quarter. Analysts were expecting it to be at 20.30. So they lost a little money, but their ridership are up. Next up, Amazon reports it is first unprofitable year since 2014. Now, that's pretty impressive. Amazon is a big company, and it's hard for them to lose. I'm sorry, give me a sec. I need to get water. Sometimes you need a little water in the middle of the stream. Anywho, as I was saying, Amazon announced its first unprofitable year since 2014. Amazon lost $2.7 billion last year. The company said last Thursday, despite holidays sales gain of 9%. The biggest culprit for Amazon losing or losses over the year was the company's hefty investment in the electric automaker Rivian, whose value plummeted last year and ate into Amazon's bottom line. The Amazon has taken a 20% stake in Rivian and had begun rolling out the car maker's electric delivery vehicle. And so if you go to like any like the Amazon hubs, you might see some of them really weird looking delivery vans. Those are actually the Rivian vehicles. Oh my goodness. This is why I include bloopers, people. This is why I include bloopers. Yeah. Laugh all you want. I'll have to laugh later. Rivian was working on following Tesla's footprints for success, but it fell short of its growth target. Last month, Amazon announced it was expected to cut 18,000 jobs, or about 5% of its corporate workforce. Amazon continues to invest in new ventures. The company is working to close its $4 billion deal to buy One Medical, a chain of primary care clinics. So the only thing I could think of is maybe they are doing that, so they not only can they have like the main location, but would also be able to offer their employees a internal clinic within all of its warehouses. Like I said before, I work at one like nation's largest wholesale lender, which is also the mortgage lender, United Wholesale Mortgage, and within their facility, they actually have their own clinic, and that's the only thing I can think of why Amazon would want to purchase the urgent care facility. Samsung, in recent news, has announced its new S23 model. Sorry, S29 or S. I wish I had the S29, or as I should say, sorry, Note 20. Your age is showing. It's time that we part. Yes, I have decided I'm going to buy the 23 Ultra, even though I think Samsung should have kept the Note series separate instead of merging it with the S23. I'm going for my purchase. So it was recently announced back on February 1st that they were releasing the S23 series. The smartphone line, which was unveiled in the company's February Unpacked event in San Francisco, along with the Galaxy Book 3, consisted of 3 models, which was the Galaxy S23, S23 Plus, and the S23 Ultra. The Ultra was actually their top spec system, which had a bigger battery, more cameras. I think the RAM and the storage capacity are the same for the most part. However, with the Ultra, I know for sure if you want the 1 terabyte model, you have to buy the unlocked version from Samsung. You can't get one that's locked with a carrier. The ones that are with the carrier, they're limited to 512 gigs. And honestly, in the current market, 512 still gets you somewhere. I've had this phone for a couple of years, and I'm not even I'm right around the half point of filling the storage. So 256 gig, unless you're replacing your phone every year, maybe year and a half. If you're like a photo person like I am, I would not recommend the 256 gig. While you still can, they're offering free memory upgrades. Go get yourself the 512. The starting prices for the phone in at least the U.S. market is going to be remaining the same. The base model of the S23 starts at $800, $1,000 for the 23 Plus, and the S23 Ultra would be about $1,200. All 3 devices have similar glass and aluminum build, so literally there's not a whole lot specs wise when it comes to like the Gorilla Glass and all that. They use the same processor, which is the Snapdragon 8, which is actually a welcome change here. If anybody remembered, Samsung back then had 2 different kinds of processor. depending on which market, you either had the Snapdragon or you had the Exynos. And the problem with the Exynos is everybody hated it because it always fell short. But people were always trying to buy the Snapdragon one because the Snapdragon was always one step ahead. They also have the same display adaptive refresh rate of 120 hertz. Have 12 megapixel selfie camera. The three phones support ultra wideband, like a 5G radio technology that helps power features such as digital car keys and lost item tracking. S23 and S23 Plus have identical triple camera setup. This one, my Note 20 is the same way. It's got 3 cameras, but it does have a little sensor in there for some reason. I don't remember what it was for. The S23 Ultra, however, will have 4 cameras. So, like on this one, this Note 20 had, I believe it was 108 megapixels, if I remember right. But on the 23 Ultra, it's going to have a 200 megapixel. The main camera, 2 10 megapixel telephoto camera, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide lens. And the ultra wide lens are kind of nice to have. So yeah, it'll be pretty cool to see how this releases. I can't wait to get my phone. I am going to maybe try to do a side-by-side comparison. I mean, obviously the S23 is going to win versus my old Note. My old Note has been freezing up with videos lately, which is very annoying. For anybody who likes watching movies, they do not like their movies stopping every 10-15 minutes. But yeah, we'll see how it works. Next up we have on the list is Reddit. Reddit was recently hacked in a phishing attack targeting its employees. You don't have to worry. Nothing has been compromised consumer-wise in their investigation. They did, however, say a Reddit employee credential was stolen in a targeted phishing attack. The administrator for the website has revealed an hacker were able to infiltrate their system on February 5th. So what had happened is the employee had a very convincing email, and within that convincing email, the employee clicked on it, and it was after they had clicked on it did they realize it was not a legit email. They immediately informed their IT department that there was some that they opened the email instead of marking it as a phishing email, and as a safety precaution, they went in, they stopped the phishing attack, they blocked off access, changed the employee's credential, and did a couple of moves. And they said that the phishing was able to access some of the business internal documents, codes, as well as some dashboards and business systems. The contact information for hundreds of employees, contacts, current and former employees, as well as some advertisers were also exposed. They have not found anything on the black market yet, so that's a good thing, which means the attacker may not have gotten away with a lot, but still raises some concerns. I mean, any security threat is a serious threat to any business model. They assured users, however, that the security team is investigating the incident still, and there are no evidence that their password or any of the non-public data has been compromised. They said the employee has learned a lesson from the security breach, or no, the employee has learned a lesson from the email, and they Reddit themselves also learned a lesson from the security breach they had 5 years ago, and continue to put that measure forward. So, yeah, I'll be honest. A data breach can happen to any company. It can happen to a company that's got a security the size of Fort Knox, and clearly it'll happen to anybody who's got security about the size of a house. But yeah. So that's all I have for today's tech news. Like I said, if you guys are ever bored, you want to chat, join the Discord link. There's actually going to be 2 Discord links in the server. There's one for my server, and if you watch Newegg, there's going to be a link for the, I believe it's Monday and Wednesday 10 p.m. show host James Oliver. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm always in one of those 2 servers. I will also take in suggestions. If you would like me to review something, or if you have like any news topics that you want me to look into, please let me know. I'm gonna keep doing this weekly on a weekly basis. Yeah, I have a lot to learn. I'm not gonna sit there and deny that I make mistakes. I do accept them. I learn from them, and I am also willing to improve on them. So, as one of my works motto was, continuous improvement. Always continuously improve no matter what happens. So, yeah, it was pretty cool reading the news. I look forward to seeing you all next week. And without a doubt, ciao.